Hello. Oh, sorry, we're messing with new mic settings today. Hi, what's up? This will be a casual one, as I don't know, I feel like most of my streams are pretty casual, so I don't know why I felt like I had to specify this time. But it'll be a casual one. I'll just be reading. I was thinking about it, and I've been very busy. What with school, I came to the realization that my school is ending in a month and got a bit freaked out. So nothing too intensive will be happening. Also, I messed up my voice really bad. I don't know how. I haven't been streaming, so whatever I've been doing, I messed up my voice. Which is another, actually, point that I meant to bring up. Hi, it's been a little bit. It's been a while. It's a Monday. Monday at 9. I know it's the most popular time to stream. Everyone wants to see someone live streaming at 9 p.m. on a Monday. But I've been pretty busy. But I am excited to say, and I probably will say this again later on, just so that people know, I am going to be streaming on Earth Day. That's this Thursday, 4/22. I don't know an exact time yet because I'll be having my friend Badger on with me, so I need to coordinate with her, and also probably my friend Chloe, not Chloe Marinera, my friend Chloe at college. And yeah, so that'll be fun. We'll be doing Earth Day themed things, and then also Badger has a podcast called Badger's Internet Deep Dives that I was on, and that podcast episode will be airing this Thursday. So yeah, I'll be talking about Twitch on it. That's not the announcement or anything. I've mentioned it before, but just in case. But yeah, let me switch over to my reading screen. You might have noticed that the, let me just fix you up here. Hi. Oh my god, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. Hi. You might have noticed that the, music is different. We're already in the what you call it, classical is the word. We're already in the classical music. Generally, I start off with whatever. So guys, don't worry about this. Don't worry about what's going on here. Generally, I don't start off with classical, but YouTube doesn't copyright this, and it tries to copyright my other stuff, so yeah. Hi again. Damn, it's so, I know it hasn't been that long, but it still feels strange right now, being in front of camera. But yeah, let me pull up the stream on my phone, so that I got that. And yeah, then I think we're ready to go. Okay. Alrighty, let me get into it. Okay, let me just check. Am I gonna mess up the music if I do this? Let me just check something really quick. I think I left off at chapter 14, but I just want to check to make sure. I haven't read this book in like a week. Okay, yeah. Okay, I read 11 through 14, so I'll probably be reading 15 and 16 this time around. And, here we go. Here we go. Scrolling to the correct part. All right, we're gonna be reading chapter 15, chapter 16. And just like I try to remember to say, I am reading a free version of this book on the internet. It's Project Gutenberg is what it's called, translated by Frederick Paul Walter. It is, it's available to everyone, anywhere, at no cost, almost no restrictions. It can be read, so yeah. I just given a little shout out before the stream started, making sure everyone understands where I'm coming from. And then also, because it's an older book, it's a book from the 1800s, just know that some of the stuff in it is, because it was translated from French and it's written in the 1800s, some of the stuff in it is a little dense, and then also some of the stuff in it could be outdated. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't read it in a while, but yeah. I'm gonna have to do something about this camera angle. It's just not working. One sec. Here. Hi guys, you're here with me. That's better for me. Hi. Let's get into it. Chapter 15. An Invitation in Writing. The next day, November 9th, I woke up only after a long 12-hour slumber. Counsel, a creature of habit, came to ask how my night went and to offer his services. He had left his Canadian friend sleeping like a man who has never done anything else. I let the gallant lad babble as he pleased without giving him much in the way of a reply. I was concerned about Captain Nemo's absence during our session the previous afternoon, and I hoped to see him again today. Soon I had put on my clothes, which were woven from strands of seashell tissue. More than once their composition provoked comments from Counsel. I told him that they were made from the smooth silken filaments with which the fan mussel, a type of seashell quite abundant along Mediterranean beaches, attaches itself to rocks. In olden times, fine fabrics, stockings, and gloves were made from such filaments, because they were both very soft and very warm. So the Nautilus's crew could dress themselves at little cost without needing a thing from cotton growers' sheep or silkworms on shore. As soon as I was dressed, I made my way to the main lounge. It was deserted. I dove into studying the chronological treasures amassed inside the glass cases. I also investigated the huge plant albums that were filled with the rarest marine herbs, which, although they were pressed and dried, still kept their wonderful colors. Among these valuable water plants, I noticed various seaweed, peacock's tails, fig-leafed calarupa, grain-bearing beauty bushes, delicate rose-tangle tinted scarlet, a sea colander arranged into fan shapes, mermaids' cups that looked like the caps of squat mushrooms and for years had been classified among the zoophytes. In short, a complete series of algae. Also, I've said this again, I always forget to say everything I want to say. They do just list scientific names of stuff sometimes, so I do skip that. The entire day passed without my being honored by a visit by Captain Nemo. The panels in the lounge didn't open. Perhaps they didn't want us to get tired of these beautiful things. The Nautilus kept to an east-northerly heading, a speed of 12 miles per hour, and a depth between 50 and 60 meters. The next day, November 10th, the same neglect, the same solitude. I didn't see a soul from the crew. Ned and Counsel spent the better part of the day with me. They were astonished at the captain's inexplicable absence. Was this eccentric man ill? Did he want to change his plans concerning us? But after all, as Counsel noted, we enjoyed complete freedom. We were daintily and abundantly fed. Our host had kept to the terms of his agreement. We couldn't complain, and moreover the very uniqueness of our situation had such generous rewards in store for us, we had no grounds for criticism. That day I started my diary of these adventures, which has enabled me to narrate them with the most scrupulous accuracy. And one odd detail. I wrote it on paper manufactured from marine eelgrass. Early in the morning on November 11th, fresh air poured through the Nautilus's interior, informing me that we had returned to the surface of the ocean to renew our oxygen supply. I headed for the central companionway and climbed onto the platform. It was 6 o'clock. I found the weather overcast, the sea gray but calm. Hardly a billow. I hoped to encounter Captain Nemo there. Would he come? I saw only the helmsman imprisoned in his glass-windowed pilot house. Seated on the ledge furnished by the hull of the skiff, I inhaled the sea's salty aroma with great pleasure. Little by little, the mists were dispersed under the action of the sun's rays. The radiant orb cleared the eastern horizon. Under its gaze, the sea caught on fire like a trail of gunpowder. Scattered high, the clouds were covered in bright... I need to start that sentence over. Scattered on high, the clouds were colored in bright, wonderfully shaded hues, and numerous ladyfingers warmed of day-long winds. Ladyfingers, by the way, are small, thin, white clouds with ragged edges, according to the author, which just sounds to me like cirrus clouds, but hey, who am I to judge? But what were mere winds to this Nautilus, which no storms could intimidate? So I was marveling at this delightful sunrise, so life-giving and cheerful, when I heard someone climbing onto the platform. I was prepared to greet Captain Nemo, but it was his chief officer who appeared, whom I had already met during our first visit with the captain. He advanced over the platform, not seeming to notice my presence. A powerful spyglass to his eye, he scrutinized every point of the horizon with the utmost care. Then, his examination over, he approached the hatch and pronounced a phrase whose exact wording follows below. I remember it because every morning it was repeated under the same circumstances. It ran like this: Neutron respect Lorny Virch. What it means, I'm unable to say. These words pronounced, the chief officer went below again. I thought the Nautilus was about to resume its underwater navigating, so I went down the hatch and back through the gangways to my stateroom. 5 days passed in this way with no change in our situation. Every morning I climbed onto the platform. The same phrase was pronounced by the same individual. Captain Nemo did not appear. I was pursuing the policy that we had seen the last of him, when on November 16th, while re-entering my stateroom with Ned and Council, I found a note addressed to me on the table. I opened it impatiently. Hi, Dad. Thank you for stopping by. Love you. Where we're at, Professor Aronnax just got a invitation. It was written in a script that was clear and neat, but albeit Old English in style, its characters reminding me of German calligraphy. The note was worded as follows. Professor Aronnax, aboard the Nautilus, November 16th, 1867. Captain Nemo invites Professor Aronnax on a hunting trip that will take place tomorrow morning in his Crespo Island forests. He hopes nothing will prevent the professor from attending, and he looks forward with pleasure to the professor's companions joining him. Captain Nemo, commander of the Nautilus. A hunting trip, Ned exclaimed. And in his forests on Crespo Island, Council added. But does this mean the old boy goes ashore? Ned Land went on. That seems to be the gist of it, I said, rereading the letter. Well, we've got to accept, the Canadian answered. Once we're on solid ground, we'll figure out a course of action. Besides, it wouldn't pain me to eat a couple of slices of fresh venison. Hold on one sec. Just fixing my mic. I think it might have been a bit loud. Alrighty. Without trying to reconcile the contradictions between Captain Nemo's professed horror of continents or islands and his invitation to go hunting in a forest, I was content to reply, First, let's look into this Crespo Island. I consulted the world map, and in latitude 32 degrees 40 north and longitude 167 degrees 50 west, I found an islet that had been discovered in 1801 by Captain Crespo, which old Spanish charts were called Roca de la Plata, in other words, Silver Rock. So we were about 1,800 miles from our starting point, and by a slight change of heading, the Nautilus was bringing us back towards the southeast. I showed my companions this small stray rock in the middle of the North Pacific. If Captain Nemo does sometimes go ashore, I told them, at least he only picks desert islands. Ned Land shook his head without replying. Then he and Council left me. After supper was served me by the mute and emotionless steward, I fell asleep, but not without some anxieties. When I woke up the next day, November 17th, I sensed the Nautilus completely motionless. I dressed hurriedly and entered the main lounge. Captain Nemo was there waiting for me. He stood up, bowed, and asked if it suited me to come along. Since he made no allusion to his absence in the past 8 days, I also refrained from mentioning it, and I simply answered that my companions and I were ready to go with him. Only, sir, I added, I'll take the liberty of addressing a question to you. Address away, Professor Aronnax, and if I'm able to answer, I will. Well then, Captain, how is it you've severed all ties with the shore, yet you own forests on Crespo Island? Professor, the captain answered me, these forests of mine don't bask in the heat and light of the sun. They aren't frequented by lions, tigers, panthers, or any other quadrupeds. They're known only to me. They grow only for me. These forests aren't on land, they're actual underwater forests. Underwater forests? I exclaimed. Yes, Professor. And you're offering to take me to them? Precisely. On foot? without getting your feet wet. While hunting? While hunting. Rifles in hand? Rifles in hand. I stared at the Nautilus's commander with an air anything but flattering to the man. Assuredly, I said to myself, he's contracted some mental illness. He's had a fit that's lasted 8 days and isn't even over yet. What a shame. I liked him better eccentric than insane. These thoughts were clearly readable on my face, but Captain Nemo remained content with me inviting me to follow him, and I did so like a man resigned to the worst. We arrived at the dining room where we found breakfast served. Professor Aronnax, the captain told me, I beg you to share my breakfast without formality. We can chat while we eat. Because although I promised you a stroll in my forests, I made no pledge to arrange for your encountering a restaurant there. Accordingly, eat your breakfast like a man who'll probably eat dinner only when it's extremely late. I did justice to this meal. It was made up of various fish and some slices of sea cucumber, that praiseworthy zoophyte, all garnished with such highly appetizing seaweed as the porphyra laciniata. See, he's going at it again. Our beverage consisted of clear water, to which, following the captain's example, I added some drops of a fermented liquor extracted by the Kamchatka process from the seaweed known by the name as Rhodymnia palmata. At first, Captain Nemo ate without pronouncing a single word. Then he told me, Professor, when I proposed that you go hunting in my Crespo forests, you thought I was contradicting myself. When I informed you that it was an issue of underwater forests, you thought I'd gone insane. Professor, you must never make snap judgments about your fellow man. Okay, to be fair, breaking character for a second, I understand where the professor's coming from. He gets taken aboard a ship by a strange man. The strange man says, I could kill you, but instead I'm gonna let you live on my ship with me. Also, I hate people, and I hate anything above water. And then he says, let's go hunting. I have forests. And the guy's like, that's a complete contradiction from what you just told me, but okay. And he's like, no, they're underwater. I'm just saying, if I was in the professor's place, I would also think this man was crazy. Thanks, Dad. But Captain, believe me, kindly listen to me, and you'll see if you have grounds for accusing me of insanity or self-contradiction. I'm all attention. Professor, you know as well as I do that man can live underwater so long as he carries with him his own supply of breathable air. Sounds crazy to me. No, he kinda is. Also, I know I was about to start talking about breathable air, but Dad, I just wanted to ask, you said you'd read all the Jack Reacher books, right? When did you do that? Please and thanks. Anyway, for underwater work projects, the workman wears a waterproof suit with his head imprisoned in a metal capsule, while he receives air from above by means of force pumps and flow regulators. That's the standard equipment for a diving suit, I said. All but one. Yeah, when did you have time to read those? Correct, but under such conditions, the man has no freedom. He's attached to a pump that sends him air through an India rubber hose. It's an actual chain that fetters him to the shore, and if we were to be bound in this way to the Nautilus, we couldn't go far either. Audiobooks. Gotcha while driving, like to and from work. Because I've read half of one Jack Reacher book, and I remember finding, I don't even remember how I got it, but I remember being like really intrigued by it. Then how do you break free? I asked. Boston. Driving to Bison. Hell yeah. We used the Rockwell Denaruse device. Speaking of Boston, we won against the Islanders, right? Woo! Invented by two of your fellow countrymen, but refined by me for my own special uses, thereby enabling you to risk these new psychological conditions. It's not psychological, physiological conditions without suffering any organic disorders. It consists of a tank built from heavy sheet iron in which I store air under a pressure of 50 atmospheres. This tank is fastened to the back by means of straps like a soldier's knapsack. Its top part forms a box where the air is regulated by a bellows mechanism and can be released only at its proper tension. In the device that has been in general use, 2 India rubber hoses leave this box and feed to a kind of tent that imprisons the operator's nose and mouth. One hose is for the entrance of air to be inhaled, the other is for the exit of air to be exhaled, and the tongue closes off the former or the latter, depending on the breather's needs. But in my case, since I face considerable pressures at the bottom of the sea, I need to enclose my head in a copper sphere, like those found on standard diving suits, and the 2 hoses for inhalation and exhalation now feed to that sphere. Oh, hi Lizard, thanks for coming. I saw your your TikTok earlier today. I don't know if you posted it earlier today, but the one about the 2 flavoring packets for ramen, that's really wonderful. You've been blessed. But yeah, it's going good. I had a fun day. What did I do? Oh, because my dad and you are watching, I don't mind saying, I just bought my mom flowers for Valentine's Day to get shipped to the house. I hope she's not watching. Anyway, but yeah, I bought her flowers to be shipped to the house, and I think they're going to be very pretty. But yeah. That was a few days ago, and what a good day it was. It sounds like a wonderful day. I've heard now of a couple people who eat ramen like that, including my sister, my younger sister, and it's a bit off-putting, but it's fine. Yeah, I hope she likes them. I know my dad always gets her flowers, but I was like, I'm far away. I don't really feel like there's much I can do. I haven't never spent a Valentine's Day away from my mom before, so yeah. But how have you been? I'm going to read a little bit more. That's perfect, Captain Nemo, but the air you carry must be quickly depleted, and once it contains no more than 15% oxygen, it becomes unfit for breathing. Surely, but as I told you, Professor Aronnax, the Nautilus's pumps enabled me to store air under considerable pressure, and given this circumstance, the tank on my diving equipment can supply breathable air for 9 or 10 hours. Valentine's or Mother's Day? Did I say Valentine's Day? I meant Mother's Day. I said Valentine's twice. Maybe it's because when I was ordering, it kept trying to make me say that it was Valentine's that I was ordering for. And I was like, no, it's not. And then it was like, so it's an anniversary? And I think I just ended up picking anniversary because I was like, whatever. It's the anniversary of her being... It's the anniversary of last Mother's Day, you know? Your mom's birthday is Thursday. Awesome. Red roses. I didn't get my mom red roses. No. I got her, like, pretty flowers. Like, not saying roses aren't pretty, but, like, an arrangement of sorts. Anyways, I have no more objections to raise, I replied, and I'll only ask you, Captain, how can you light your way at the bottom of the ocean? With the device, Professor Aronnax, the first is carried on the back, the second is fastened to the belt. It consists of a Bunsen battery that I activate not with potassium dichromate, but with sodium. An induction coil gathers the electricity generated and directs it to a specially designed lantern. In this lantern, one finds a glass spiral that contains only a residue of carbon dioxide gas. When the device is operating, this gas becomes luminous and gives off a continuous whitish light. Thus provided for, I breathe and I see. Mother doesn't like roses. I did not get Mother roses. Megan. Let me see if I can pull up what I got her. Let me change to my display capture. This! I got her this. It's beautiful. I digress. I hope she likes it. Saying Mother doesn't like roses, that's so weird. Let me see. Okay. To my... Captain Nemo, to my every objection you give such crushing answers. I'm afraid to entertain a single doubt. However, though I have no choice but to accept both of the devices, I'd like to register some reservations about the rifle with which you'll equip me." "But it isn't a rifle that uses gunpowder," the captain replied. "Then it's an air gun?" "Surely. How can I make gunpowder on my ship when I have no saltpeter, sulfur, or charcoal?" "Even so," I replied, "to fire underwater in a medium that's 855 times denser than air, you'd have to overcome considerable resistance." "It is super pretty. I love Studleys." "That doesn't necessarily follow. There are certain Fulton-style guns perfected by the Englishmen, the Frenchmen, and the Italian Landy. They're equipped with a special system of airtight fastenings and can fire in underwater conditions. But I repeat, having no gunpowder, I've replaced it with air at high pressure, which is abundantly supplied to me by the Nautilus's pumps." What did you get Mom for Mother's Day, guys? Because it's just a full family in here. If Lizard is still here, then, you're a part of this. But, alright, good night, Dad. "But this air must be swiftly depleted." Are we reading this book for a particular reason or just because you like it? It's because I really like this book and I realized I could read on stream. And then I was like, what books could I read? It has to be something under the common domain. And luckily for me, because this book is so old, it is under the common domain. It's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and it's one of my favorite books. I really enjoy it. I love science, and I like the ocean, and it's not really written as a diary, but it's loosely themed as a diary, and I just think it's really cool, and I would like to share it with other people. And so I've been reading it for a bit now, about a month, and people seem to like it as well. So yeah, we're on chapter 15. Yeah, you can be included, Lizard, in the fam. Alrighty. Let me see. "In a pinch, can't my tank supply me with more air? All I have to do is draw it from an A.D. Hawk spigot." Oh, apparently that means just for that purpose in Latin. "Besides, Professor Aronnax, you'll see for yourself that during these underwater hunting trips, we make no great expenditure of either air or bullets." "But it seems to me that in this semi-darkness, amid this liquid that's so dense in comparison to the atmosphere, a gunshot couldn't carry far and would prove fatal only with difficulty." "On the contrary, sir. With this rifle, every shot is fatal, and as soon as the animal is hit, no matter how lightly, it falls as if struck by lightning." "Why?" "You didn't get your mother anything for Mother's Day because there are a few birthdays first?" I know what you mean. My Mother's Day is it's the 9th, right? Yes, Sunday the 9th of May. And my mom's birthday, or my dad's birthday, is the 17th of May. My mom's birthday is the 23rd of May, and then Father's Day is in June. So it's just like Mother's Day, Dad's birthday, Mom's birthday, Father's Day. So I'm just getting gifts for my mom, my dad, my mom, and my dad. So I get that. Okay, so Captain Nemo just said every shot is fatal with this rifle. The professor asked why, and he said, "Because this rifle doesn't shoot ordinary bullets, but little glass capsules invented by the Austrian chemist Lennebrock, and I have a considerable supply of them. These glass capsules are covered with a strip of steel and weighted with a lead base. They're genuine little Leyden jars charged with high-voltage electricity. They go off at the slightest impact, and the animal, no matter how strong, drops dead. I might add that these capsules are no bigger than the number 4 shot, and the chamber of any ordinary rifle could hold 10 of them." "I'll quit debating," I replied, getting up from the table. "And all that's left for me is to shoulder my rifle. So where you go, I go." Captain Nemo led me to the Nautilus's stern, and passing by Ned and Council's cabin, I summoned my 2 companions, who instantly followed us. Then we arrived at a cell located within easy access of the engine room. In this cell, we were to get dressed for our stroll. And that's the end of chapter 15. Thanks for the reminders, Meg. Meg, you should know. Birthday season. Yeah, see, birthday season. It's real. Damn, Mother's Day, Grandma's birthday, parents' anniversary. See, so much going on. There's so much going on to keep track of. Oh, yawn. This is like the first stream in a while where I've been going for like 30 minutes and I'm like, I'm tired. But I think chapter 16 isn't too long, you know? So we'll be fine. It'll take us like probably 20 minutes. And then I shall probably go to sleep. Because I'm tired. Well, I don't really have to be up early tomorrow, so maybe I won't. Might raid somebody, even though I don't have that many viewers when my friends is live, so they probably won't mind. Alrighty. Chapter 16. Strolling the Plains. This cell, properly speaking... Oh, by the way, just before I get into it, can you guys tell me if my mic sounds okay? I was messing with the volumes and everything, and I'm not sure if it's getting staticky at all. Thank you. This cell, properly speaking, was the Nautilus's arsenal and wardrobe. Hanging from its walls, a dozen diving outfits were waiting for anybody who wanted to take a stroll. After seeing these, Ned Land exhibited an obvious distaste for the idea of putting one on. But my gallant Ned, I told him, the forests of Crespo Island are simply underwater forests. Oh, great, put in the disappointed harpooner, watching his dreams of fresh meat fade away. And you, Professor Aronnax, are you going to stick yourself inside these clothes? It has to be, Mr. Ned. Have it your way, sir, the harpooner replied, shrugging his shoulders. But speaking for myself, I'll never get into those things unless they force me. No static. Cool, thank you, Meg. No one will force you, Mr. Land, Captain Nemo said. You can tell if there's music, but there is a little crackle. Okay. The only way I can think to solve that is by either having the mic further away or like having myself turned down. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to turn myself down, but I'll just have it closer. Here we go. Hold on. I've turned myself down quite a bit, but I have the mic right in front of me. So let me know if I sound too quiet or if I sound okay. Bet. Is Council going to risk it? Ned asked. Where Master goes, I go, Council replied. At the captain's summons, 2 crewmen came to help us put on these heavy waterproof clothes, made from seamless India rubber and expressly designed to bear considerable pressures. They were like suits of armor that were both yielding and resistant, you might say. These clothes consisted of a jacket and pants. The pants ended in bulky footwear adorned with heavy lead soles. The fabric of the jacket was reinforced with copper mail that shielded the chest, protected it from the water's pressure, and allowed the lungs to function freely. The sleeves ended in supple gloves that didn't impede hand movements. These perfected diving suits, it was easy to see, were a far cry from such misshapen costumes as cork breastplates, leather jumpers, seagoing tunics, barrel helmets, etc., invented and acclaimed in the 18th century. Council and I were soon dressed in these diving suits, as were Captain Nemo and one of his companions, a Herculean type who must have been prodigiously strong. All that remained was to encase one's head in its metal sphere. But before proceeding with this operation, I asked the captain for permission to examine the rifles set aside for us. One of the Nautilus's men presented me with a streamlined rifle whose butt was boilerplate steel, hollow inside, and of fairly large dimensions. The crackle got pronounced after I moved it closer. Wait, it's worse now? Hold up. Can you let me know how it sounds now? If it sounds better or worse? I'm sorry to make you keep doing this with me, but you're watching, so you might as well. Hopefully. Okay. Let me see. Okay. This served as a tank for the compressed air, which a trigger-operated valve could release into the metal chamber. In a groove where the butt was heaviest, a cartridge clip held some 20 electric bullets that, by means of a spring, automatically took their places in the barrel of the rifle. As soon as one shot had been fired, another was ready to set off. "Captain Nemo," I said, "this is an ideal, easy-to-use weapon. I ask only to put it to the test. But how will we reach the bottom of the sea?" "Right now, Professor, the Nautilus is aground in 10 meters of water, and we've only to depart." "But how will we set out?" "You'll see." Captain Nemo inserted his cranium into its spherical headgear. Council and I did the same, but not without hearing the Canadian toss us a sarcastic, "Happy hunting." On top, the suit ended in a collar of threaded copper onto which the metal helmet was screwed. 3 holes, protected by heavy glass, allowed us to see in any direction with simply a turn of the head inside the sphere. Placed on our backs, the device went into operation as soon as it was in position, and for my part, I could breathe with ease. The lamp hanging from my belt, rifle in hand, I was ready to go forth. But in all honesty, while imprisoned in these heavy clothes and nailed to the deck by my lead soles, it was impossible for me to take a single step. You can hear white noise, and there seems to be the occasional faint ticking, no more crackling. Well, I'm not that great with audio, so I guess that'll have to do until I can figure something else out, huh? But I appreciate it. On top, the suit ended in a collar of threaded copper onto which the metal helmet was screwed. Wait, I already read that. But this circumstance had been foreseen because I felt myself propelled into a little room adjoining the wardrobe. Towed in the same way, my companions went with me. I heard a door with watertight seals close after us, and we were surrounded by profound darkness. After some minutes, a sharp hissing reached my ears. I felt a distinct sensation of cold rising from my feet to my chest. Apparently a stopcock inside the boat was letting in water from outside, which overran us and soon filled up the room. Contrived in the Nautilus's side, a second door then opened. We were hit by a subdued light. An instant later, our feet were treading the bottom of the sea. And now, how can I convey the impressions left on me by this stroll under the waters? Words are powerless to describe such wonders. When even the painter's brush can't depict the effects unique to the liquid element, how can the writer's pen hope to reproduce them? Captain Nemo walked in front, and his companion followed a few steps to the rear. Council and I stayed next to each other, as if daydreaming that through our metal carapaces, a little polite conversation might still be possible. Already I no longer felt the bulkiness of my clothes, footwear, and air tank, nor the weight of the heavy sphere inside which my head was rattling like an almond in its shell. Once immersed in water, all these objects lost a part of their weight equal to the weight of the liquid they had displaced, and thanks to this law of physics discovered by Archimedes, I did just fine. I was no longer an inert mass, and I had, comparatively speaking, great freedom of movement. Lighting up the seafloor even 30 feet beneath the surface of the ocean, the sun astonished me with its power. The solar rays easily crossed this aqueous mask and dispersed its dark colors. I could easily distinguish objects 100 meters away. Farther on, the bottom was tinted with fine shades of ultramarine. Then, off in the distance, it turned blue and faded into the midst of a hazy darkness. Truly, this water surrounding me was just a kind of air, denser than the atmosphere on land, but almost as transparent. Above me, I could see the calm surface of the ocean. We were walking on sand that was fine-grained and smooth, not wrinkled like beach sand, which preserves the impressions left by the waves. This dazzling carpet was a real mirror, throwing back the sun's rays with startling intensity. The outcome? An immense vista of reflections that penetrated every liquid molecule. Will anyone believe me if I assert that at this 30-foot depth, I could see as if it were broad daylight? For a quarter of an hour I trod this blazing sand, which was strewn with tiny crumbs of seashell. Looming like a long reef, The Nautilus's hull disappeared little by little, but when night fell in the midst of the waters, the ship's beacon would surely facilitate our return on board, since its rays carried with perfect distinctness. This effect is difficult to understand for anyone who has never seen the light beams so sharply defined on shore. There, the dust that saturates the air gives such rays the appearance of a luminous fog, but above water as well as underwater, shafts of electric light are transmitted with incomparable clarity. Meanwhile, we went ever onward, and these vast plains of sand seemed endless. My hands parted liquid curtains that closed again behind me. My footprints faded swiftly under the water's pressure. Soon, scarcely blurred by their distance from us, the forms of some objects took shape before my eyes, and I recognized the lower slopes of some magnificent rocks carpeted by the finest zoophyte specimens, and right off, I was struck by an effect unique to this medium. By then, it was 10 o'clock in the morning. The sun's rays hit the surface of the waves at a fairly oblique angle, decomposing by refraction as though passing through a prism. And when this light came in contact with flowers, rocks, buds, seashells, and polyps, the edges of the objects were shaded with all 7 hues of the solar spectrum. This riot of rainbow tints was a wonder, a feast for the eyes, a genuine kaleidoscope of red, green, yellow, orange, violet, indigo, and blue. In short, the whole palette of a color-happy painter. If only I had been able to share with Consul the intense sensations rising in my brain, competing with him in exclamations of wonderment. If only I had known, like Captain Nemo and his companion, how to exchange thoughts by means of prearranged signals. So, for lack of anything better, I talked to myself. I declaimed inside this copper box that topped my head, spending more air on empty words than was perhaps advisable. Counsel, like me, had stopped before this splendid sight. Obviously, in the presence of these zoophyte and mollusk specimens, the lad was classifying his head off. But we had to keep walking, and we went forward while overhead there scudded schools of Portuguese men-of-war that let their ultramarine tentacles drift in their wakes, medusas whose milky white or dainty pink parasols were festooned with azure tassels and shaded us from the sun's rays, plus jellyfish of the species Pelagia panopyra. There we go. Pelagia panopyra, that, in the dark, would have strewn our path with phosphorescent glimmers. All these wonders I glimpsed in the space of a quarter of a mile, barely pausing, following Captain Nemo, whose gestures kept beckoning me onward. Soon the nature of the seafloor changed, as the plains of sand were followed by a bed of that viscous slime Americans call ooze, which is composed exclusively of seashells rich in limestone or silica. Then we crossed a prairie of algae, open sea plants that the waters hadn't yet torn loose, whose vegetation grew in wild profusion. Soft to the foot, these densely textured lawns would have rivaled the most luxuriant carpets woven by the hand of man. But while this greenery was sprawling under our steps, it didn't neglect us overhead. The surface of the water was crisscrossed by a floating arbor of marine plants belonging to that superabundant algae family that numbers more than 2,000 known species. I saw long ribbons of fucus drifting above me, some globular, others tubular. Laurentia, Cladostophus with slenderest foliage, I'm not reading the names of these, resembling fan shapes of cactus. I observed that green-colored plants kept closer to the surface of the sea, while reds occupied a medium depth, which left blacks and browns in charge of designing gardens and flower beds in the ocean's lower strata. These algae are a genuine prodigy of creation, one of the five wonders. One of the wonders of the world flora. This family produces both the biggest and smallest vegetables in the world. Because, just as 40,000 near-invisible buds have been counted in 1 5 square millimeter space, so have fucus plants been gathered that were over 500 meters long. We had been gone from the Nautilus for about an hour and a half. It was almost noon. I spotted this fact in the perpendicularity of the sun's rays, which were no longer refracted. The magic of these solar colors disappeared little by little, with emerald and sapphire shades vanishing from our surroundings altogether. We walked with shady steps that rang on the seafloor with astonishing intensity. The tiniest sounds were transmitted with a speed to which the ear is unaccustomed on shore. In fact, water is a better conductor of sound than air, and under the waves, noises carry 4 times as fast. I'm now going to put on screen a photo that is included in the document I'm reading, is I guess what we'll refer to it as, or a transcript of some kind. The name of the of the image is "We Walked with Steady Steps." And here it is. There. It's pretty. I like it. But yeah. I'll leave it up for a little bit. Just then, the seafloor began to slope sharply downward. The light took on a uniform hue. We reached a depth of 100 meters, by which point we were undergoing a pressure of 10 atmospheres. But my diving clothes were built along such lines that I never suffered from this pressure. I felt only a certain tightness in the joints of my fingers, and even this discomfort soon disappeared. As for the exhaustion bound to accompany a 2-hour stroll in such an unfamiliar trapping, it was nil. Helped by the water, my movements were executed with startling ease. Arriving at this 300-foot depth, I still detected the sun's rays, but just barely. Their intense brilliance had been followed by a reddish twilight, a midpoint between day and night. But we could see just enough to find our way, and it still wasn't necessary to activate the lamp device. Just then, Captain Nemo stopped. He waited until I joined him. The art is beautiful, Megan. He waited until I joined him, then he pointed a finger at some dark masses outlined in the shadows a short distance away. It's the forest of Crespo Island, I thought. And I was not mistaken. There you go. I am having a lot of fun reading this. Every time I'm not reading this, I'm thinking about when I get to read this again, because I love 20,000 Leagues. But I can't keep going because my voice hurts really badly. Sadly. But, in good news, it is exciting. My friend Ashlyn is live, so I'm going to be sending you guys over to her. Generally, my rule is I don't like to raid people unless I have a certain amount of viewers, but she will be cool with it. She has a Minecraft server that she's been playing on lately, and I'm on that Minecraft server, so even though I'm not live streaming, you might hear me jump in a VC with her at some point, or if you're watching her, you might see me be playing Minecraft with her. It's a really neat server. But yeah, I'll be sending you guys over there. And if you do want to say something, because generally some people like to... Yeah, of course, Megan. I love reading. But yeah, people like to say stuff when they're sent over to other streamers. So if you do, just put in Crab Pog. That's my calling card. But yeah, there we go. You guys are awesome. I'm so happy I was even able to chill with you guys, even if it was only for like 52 minutes. But yeah, have a great rest of your days. Y'all are awesome, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!